someone asks you, what do you do? And you open your mouth and out comes a lot. And their eyes glaze over and you know you've lost them. And the worst thing is you knew it wasn't landing while it was happening. In this video, I'm going to be talking about why you can't say what you do in 30 seconds or less. Hi, my name is Yasmin Vorajee and I help experts redesign scattered and undercharging businesses into premium and profitable ones without working long hours. I've been in business for 14 plus years and I have seen a lot and I've experienced a lot. So everything I talk about is pretty much my experience and then what I've also seen in my clients. So why can you not say what you do in like 30 seconds or less? Have you ever been to a networking meeting when somebody says, can you come and do your pitch? And, you watch somebody go up and they're there and they're standing up and then they start talking and they keep talking and they keep talking and you've lost the thread of what they're actually talking about. They're talking about everything and maybe they're even going into their backstory. Have you ever been at an event where somebody starts talking about their life story, which I'm sure is very interesting, but the problem is we get lost in that. Your introduction gets fumbled because you're not staying on point with what it is that that person is really looking for when they ask you that question. And if you've ever been in that position where somebody has said to you, what do you do? And you're like, I've been there before as well. And, it's like when I ask my clients and I like to kind of like just the random times I like say like, so Sarah, what do you do? And they'll go, oh, hold on, I need to get my notes. And I'm like, why do you need to get your notes? Because when you're thinking about what it is that you do in your business, when you're thinking about how you are taking your expertise and transforming it into this profitable business and building something that has impact, that has legacy, that has abundance built into it, baked into it, your messaging is that solid foundation. It is the part of what you're doing that makes everything else make sense. I spent the first couple of years of my business literally in marketing wilderness, not having a clue about how to market, how to sell. When you're doing it for somebody else, it's like a whole different ball game, right? There isn't all the emotional attachment to it. And so if you're working for an insurance company and you say, I do insurance or whatever it is. I don't work for insurance. I've never have. So, but if you worked for any kind of company and you knew what that company does and you just say it and it's not attached to you because it's not your thing. But when you become a solopreneur, when you are in your own business, suddenly it feels like you can't string two sentences together. And it's deeply frustrating because this is the point where somebody looks at you and hears what you say and they go, boom, I need that, or I know somebody who needs that. And that's what you want your message to always feel like, where somebody just hears it and they're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Tell me more. And I've had experience where either they've got their eyes glazed over and you're thinking, uh-oh, didn't make it land. Or the one where they kind of go, oh my God, that sounds so interesting. I'd love to know more. Or how do you do that? And that opens up the conversation. But when you're not able to say what you do in that 30 seconds or less, right, then it becomes really problematic because this is actually the most expensive problem in businesses because you can't articulate what it is that you do. And when you can't articulate it, then people don't get it. It's a bit like when I'm having a conversation with my kids and, I'll be saying something to them and they'll like maybe just ignore me. And, and they're like, I heard you. And I was like, well, did you really? Because communication is two ways. I say something and I need to know that you've understood it, that you've received it. So even just a sure, mom, that works. That goes a long way. And in business, it's the same thing because what you want is you want to know that you've put your message out there, but that it has actually been received. It's been understood. And, and this is why communicating and messaging is such a powerful part of every business. And messaging, let's just be very clear here. Messaging is not just about that one-liner that you open up the conversation. Messaging is weaved into everything that you do. So when you're thinking about your emails, your posts, your content, your videos, your podcast, however you're communicating, you're pitching, you're presenting, you're speaking, it's all messaging. And so this is why we want to really make sure that we're simplifying that and streamlining it so that people just get what you do. So when I talk about my business and I'm talking about, experts who've got like amazing expertise and they're so good at what they do, yet they cannot translate that into the business that they dream of. Sure, they get clients. Sure, they're able to make an income, but they're like going, no, I'm here for more than this. I am here for so much more. And my gift is I can see that. I can, when someone's telling me what it is that they're doing in their business, I'll be like, oh my God, I can see it. I can visualize it. I can see the architecture of that business. Because at heart, that's my gift is, I can build that structure. I can build that architecture and help you grow your business. So when you're thinking about what it is that you do in your business, I want you to be thinking about this very, very clearly, but not in a place where you're going to get all twisted up and go, oh my God, it's not perfect, so I can't do anything right. Because this is an evolution. I've been in business for 14 plus years now, and my messaging has changed over the years as I've evolved, as my business has evolved, as, the world has evolved. And so that's okay. But what we can't have is this constant toing and froing, right? So I'll give you a really good example, actually. I heard this woman yesterday say that, her father had a shop. And, when he opened up the shop, he had all of his goods out there. And that was it. Like now all his focus was on getting clients, getting customers, getting people coming in, getting them to come back in again, repeat custom. And I just thought, oh, that is such a great analogy for what I see a lot of experts, coaches, consultants struggling with, is because imagine you've, opened up a shop, but you keep going in and changing things around and going, nope, that's not what I do. Nope, that's not what I do. So let's talk a little bit. I've got 4 reasons why your introduction is just not landing the way you want it to, and what's stopping you from actually being able to nail that introduction in like that first 30 seconds. Okay. The first piece is you talk for too long. Okay. I know somebody says to you, you've got 60 seconds. You don't have to suck up all of the 60 seconds. I remember going to a BNI meeting years ago, and like that, everyone got a chance to stand up for 60 seconds and do their spiel. And I got up and I did my bit. And I probably was like maybe 20 seconds or something. But what I said was really powerful in that I just said what it is that I do and who I help. And that if they wanted to get to, if they wanted more information, that come to me after we were finished. I can't tell you how many people came up to me. I was like maybe 5-7 people in that one session alone. They were like, I was really interested in what you said. For a lot of the other people, I was hearing their pitches, I was hearing their introductions, and I was just like, I was starting to lose interest, right? And this is something that I want you to be really mindful of, because I know everyone talks about attention spans. I do believe that if you're interested in something, that you will pay attention to it. But this is the thing, that you have to be really careful that you're not kind of like just going on and on and on and on, especially not bringing in your backstory and all that kind of stuff. Like, stories are great, right? But you've got to be really clear, because the way that I talk about tiny time, big results is that when I started my business, my eldest was only a year old, and I only had 3 hours a day in my business because that was the time that he was in childcare, right? That's my story. That's all you need to know, because that then shows you that I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to make this business work if I've only got a few hours a day, right? That's it. That's the story. You do not need to know that where I went to university or whatever else, right? Because there's loads of other places where that story can go. So first of all, you're talking for too long. Secondly, and this is a really big one, so make sure you write this down, because I know you're going to come back to it over and over again. And this is something that I come back to with my clients over and over again, because this is so powerful, right? You don't nail the problem you're solving. You're not articulating that problem, right? So again, if I use my example, I help experts redesign their scattered and undercharging businesses. When people come to me, they're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm doing a million and one things. Content creation is driving me bananas. I haven't got time for this. I am so busy. Right. And then when I look at what they're doing, I'm like, wow, that's a lot of busy work that you've got going on there. Let's look at this. And typically they just have not actually built a strong business structure around their expertise, right? So this just gives you an example. So what's happening is you're not nailing the problem, and maybe you're not even clear in your mind as to what the problem is, right? Because we go so quickly into, oh, I'm a website designer, or I'm a graphic designer, or I am a weight loss coach, whatever it might be. But what you don't do is you don't articulate the problem that you're solving. And that's a huge one, because if you're not clear on what the problem is that you're solving, then how can you present your solution as the solution? Okay. The third reason is you're not saying who it's for. Like, who is this for? I talk about experts, I talk about coaches, consultants, people who typically sell their expertise. I don't work with product businesses. I have, but my expertise is working with people who are selling their knowledge, their skills, their talents, right? If you are working with petrochemical industry, I want you to talk about that. If you are working with high net worth individuals, you need to say that. If, say, for example, you help people to invest, right? But that there's like a whole spectrum of that. Some people could be investing 100 grand, somebody could be investing 5K. So if you're focused on the person who is investing their first 5K, they've never invested before, investment for beginners, you need to be really clear, because you don't want someone who's investing hundreds of thousands coming to you and then going, oh, this is so basic. Well, that's the whole point. So you got to be really clear about who you're for, right? Because when you're introducing yourself, and somebody hears what you're saying, and they're like going, oh God, you know what? My sister-in-law, she could really do with your help, or my friend, or whoever, or me, I could really do with your help. But you're not saying who it's for. And so it's kind of just, it's going into that whole realm of, when you talk to everybody, you talk to nobody. Okay. And then the fourth reason, and this is a big one, and this might sting a little bit, but I promise you, when you hear this, it will stick, and then you'll be really mindful of it, okay? So what happens is you get into the process instead of the result, right? People care about the outcome. They want to know what's in it for me. And when you are not establishing that clearly, when you're not talking about the outcome and you go straight into your process of, like, oh, we're going to have 5 sessions, and we're going to, I'm going to send you a form, and, and you're going to have email access to me, and et cetera, what's happening is you're talking about the process, and they can't see themselves in the process. But when you talk about the outcome, it's a bit like if you're going on holidays. If you go and, if you're searching online, or if you go to a travel agent, you don't really care about how you're going to get there. You're like, okay, sure, I'll take a flight. And you're like, yeah, that's all fine. What you really care about is the destination. And that's what you really want to be focused in on, because when you are thinking about your ideal client and, from a messaging perspective, you want to be really anchoring everything into the result that you're helping that person get. Okay. And part of you might be thinking, oh, this is a confidence thing, right? That maybe I'm just not confident enough. Maybe I need confidence training, right? Actually, what I find is that these challenges where you're talking for too long, you're not nailing the problem, you're not saying who it's for, and you talk about the process, it's not about confidence. What's happening is that your expertise is there, right? It's right on the tip of your nose, okay? But you haven't extracted it. You haven't given it a name. You haven't given it a framework. You haven't said what it is that you do. So when I talk about trademark transformation, that's the result that you help someone get, right? But what's happening is that you're so focused on I do websites, right? But you haven't really nailed the transformation that you're helping someone to get. So when one of my clients, Amy, amazing woman, you must go and check her out. I'll post her website link below here. When she came to me, and she was very much feeling like scattered, undercharging, under-leveraged. And what we did was we really worked on her messaging and her positioning, because this is very much about positioning as well, because you want to position yourself so that your ideal clients are absolutely seeing you, right? And when we worked on her messaging and we worked on her positioning, and she's very much in that space of, I help women who are hidden gems become high impact brands. And she has got the receipts to prove it, right? And that's what is going to make her stand out. That is what makes her stand out and makes people come back to her, find her. They're like, I've got to work with this person, right? And this is really important, because if you are not clear on your expertise, right? If you feel like you've just boxed yourself in and you're like, I don't know how I'm different. I don't know what is my differentiator from everybody else who does something similar to me. Then what that means is that you haven't elevated how people are seeing you in the marketplace. Okay. So, and I want you to think about this, that, and let me just give you another example, just to kind of really bring this home. Like if you're a weight loss coach, are you like saying, I'm an energy healer? But that for me doesn't really do enough. Okay. I want to know what's that result that you help people get. Okay. So if you're talking about weight loss coach and you say, I help women who are in perimenopause lose 2 stones, right? So this actually in a specific example I'm thinking of, where a friend of mine had to, she needed to lose at least 2 stone. And she found this particular weight loss coach, and it was like saying, if you need to lose 2 stones. And I was like going, that is brilliant marketing. And I've seen this with my own clients. I've got clients who have come in, and what happens is that messaging can fall into the trap of becoming generic, can be quite vague, can be, dare I say, a bit bland. And what we want to do is we want to really elevate it, kind of like give it the upgrade, where somebody is looking at that going, oh, I like that. I want that, right? And so when you are working with executive coaches, so if you're an executive coach and you're working with executives, right? I don't want you just to say, I'm an executive coach. Like, what does that really mean, right? Are you focusing in on their presence? Is it their presentation? Is it their emotional intelligence? Like, really go specific, go deeper. I've got another client and she's been doing presentation skills and speaking skills. And I was like, this is more than that. This is about someone whose message really lands and they show up with this presence. Have you ever been somewhere where somebody walks in and everyone just looks at them? And that's what you want your ideal client. So we work on all of these things because what we want to do is really pull out your genius, because you're far better than you're actually giving yourself credit for. Okay, so when you can say what you do in 30 seconds and the right person says, you're for me, then that's your expertise working for you. When their eyes don't glaze over, they're like going, I like this. This is really good. I need you. Can we have a coffee? Can we talk about how we can work together? Now you know that your messaging is working for you and you have nailed your introduction. Okay, this is the path. This is what we want. Is we want when someone says, what is it that you do? It flows from you. You are full of certainty. You are full of confidence. And somebody just looks at it and goes, that's amazing. I'm really interested in that. Oh my God, my friend would love that. Here, come over here. Come and talk to us, right? Then you know that your expertise is working for you. So if you want to get there and if you're thinking, Yasmin, this sounds amazing and I definitely need help with this, then I want to encourage you to apply to work with me. You can book a call below and you could also get your hands on, I've got a collection of 15 masterclasses and courses called The Business of Expertise. So this is all about how you turn your expertise into a premium business so that you can actually get paid what your expertise is worth. So click the links below, book a call if you'd like me to work with you, or check out The Business of Expertise and be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for more Tiny Time Big Results. Take care.